Have you noticed how the people with the strongest opinions often seem to know the least about what they're talking about? You're not imagining it. You are living through the greatest assault on human intelligence in history. This is not hyperbole. This is not another alarmist prediction about technology. This is the reality of what psychologists now call the stupidity epidemic, a systematic erosion of our capacity for clear, rational thought in an age where thinking clearly has never been more crucial. But here's what they don't tell you. You have more power over your own mind than you realize. The same technologies and social forces that trap millions in cycles of confusion and poor judgment can be turned into tools for intellectual liberation. The question is, are you ready to see how deep this rabbit hole goes? The invisible prison of modern stupidity. You wake up, you check your phone. Within minutes, you've consumed more information than your great-grandfather processed in a week. But here's the paradox. Despite having access to humanity's entire knowledge base, we're making worse decisions than ever before. Why is this happening to you? Why does it feel like everyone around you has lost their ability to think clearly? The answer lies in understanding what cognitive scientists call the perfect storm of mental manipulation. Your brain, that remarkable organ that evolved to keep you alive on ancient savannas, is being systematically hijacked by forces that understand your psychological weaknesses better than you do. This is not your fault, but it is your responsibility. The Dunning-Kruger epidemic. Perhaps you've met them. Perhaps you've been them. People who know just enough to be dangerous to themselves and others. They've read one article about climate science and become experts. They've watched a documentary about economics and can solve world poverty. They've spent an afternoon on social media and understand complex geopolitical situations better than career diplomats. This is the Dunning-Kruger effect in action. The cognitive bias where people with the least knowledge are the most confident in their opinions. But here's what's truly frightening. Digital technology has turned this from an occasional embarrassment into a global epidemic. When information feels effortless to access, we mistake that ease for understanding. When complex topics are reduced to clickbait headlines, we confuse consumption with comprehension. Your brain literally cannot tell the difference between knowing where to find information and actually knowing that information. The echo chamber trap. But let me tell you something even more insidious. You are being systematically isolated from ideas that could change your mind. Social media algorithms don't show you what's true. They show you what keeps you engaged. News organizations don't prioritize accuracy. They prioritize what triggers your emotional responses. Every day, invisible forces are narrowing your intellectual world while convincing you it's expanding. This is the echo chamber effect, and it's more powerful than you think. Research shows that people in ideological bubbles become more extreme over time, not more moderate. You're not just failing to hear opposing viewpoints, you're losing the ability to recognize they even exist. The ancient wisdom hidden in plain sight. Here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. The solutions to our modern thinking crisis were discovered over 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced plagues, wars, and political turmoil, wrote in his private journal, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." But he meant something deeper than personal conflicts. He meant, don't let others' poor thinking infect your own mind. The Stoic philosophers understood something we've forgotten. Your thoughts are the only thing you truly control. Not the information coming at you. Not other people's opinions. Not the chaos of the world. Just your response to all of it. Socrates, when told by the oracle that he was the wisest man in Athens, realized something profound. His wisdom came from knowing the limits of his knowledge. In our age of instant expertise, this ancient insight becomes revolutionary. The smartest thing you can do is get comfortable with not knowing. But ancient wisdom alone isn't enough. We need to integrate it with modern understanding of how your brain actually works. The neuroscience of being wrong. Here's what cognitive scientists have discovered. Your brain is not designed to find truth. It's designed to keep you alive and accepted by your tribe. When you encounter information that challenges your beliefs, your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, literally treats it as a physical threat. Your nervous system cannot distinguish between someone questioning your political views and someone pointing a spear at your chest. This explains why rational argument so often fails. You're not just arguing with someone's ideas, you're triggering their survival instincts. Understanding this changes everything. When you feel that surge of anger at opposing viewpoints, that's not your rational mind responding. That's your reptilian brain protecting what it thinks is your identity. The four-phase framework for intellectual freedom. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. You can rewire these automatic responses. You can train your mind to think clearly in a confused world. You can escape the stupidity epidemic. The framework is simple but powerful. Pause, probe, process, proceed. Phase pause. Breaking the stimulus response cycle. Stop. Before you react to that inflammatory headline, before you share that outrageous claim, before you argue with that comment, create space between what happens to you and how you respond. The ancient Stoics called this the discipline of desire, learning to control your immediate impulses. Modern neuroscience confirms their wisdom. That pause gives your prefrontal cortex time to override your emotional brain. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now and why? Name the emotion. This simple act reduces its power over you. Phase probe, intellectual humility in action. Here's where most people fail. They seek information that confirms what they already believe. You're going to do the opposite. Actively seek evidence that contradicts your initial reaction. This isn't masochism, it's intelligence training. The strongest minds are those that can hold opposing ideas simultaneously without falling apart. Ask, what evidence would change my mind? If you can't answer this question, you're not thinking, you're just rationalizing. Now comes the hard part, applying reason to what you've discovered. Does this actually make logical sense, or does it just feel satisfying to believe? Check for logical fallacies. Consider long-term consequences. Sleep on important decisions. Your unconscious mind processes information better than you think. The question that changes everything. What happens if this goes badly? Perfect information doesn't exist. At some point, you must decide and act. But here's the key. Plan for course corrections. The wisest people aren't those who never change their minds. They're those who change their minds when evidence warrants it. Confirmation bias. You see what you want to see. Dunning-Kruger effect. You think you know more than you do. Echo chambers, you only hear agreeable voices. Information overload. You become paralyzed by too much data. Each of these has a specific antidote. The key is recognizing them in real time as they're happening to you. The most important insight, these biases aren't character flaws, they're features of how human brains work. Understanding this removes the shame and gives you the power to work with your brain instead of against it. Your intellectual liberation starts now. Here's what I want you to understand. Escaping the stupidity epidemic isn't about becoming smarter than everyone else. It's about becoming smarter than you were yesterday. You live in an age where thinking clearly is both harder and more important than ever before. The same technologies that can trap you in cycles of confusion can also connect you to the greatest minds in human history. Every day, you have a choice. You can let algorithms decide what you think about. You can let tribal loyalties override your capacity for reason. You can mistake loudness for strength and certainty for wisdom. Or you can choose the harder path, the path of intellectual humility, the path of evidence-based reasoning, the path of philosophical wisdom applied to practical problems, the path of thinking smart in a dumb world. Marcus Aurelius faced barbarian invasions and deadly plagues with nothing but his mind and his principles. You face information warfare and attention hijacking with years of additional human wisdom. The question isn't whether you can think clearly in this chaotic world. The question is, will you? Your mind is not your enemy. Your biases are not your fate. Your capacity for clear thought is not a luxury. It's your birthright. The stupidity epidemic ends with you. Not because you're special, but because you're willing to do the work that most people won't do. The work of thinking. Start today. Start now. Start with the next piece of information you encounter. Ask yourself, how do I know this is true? That question alone will begin your liberation. The ancient philosophers knew something we're only rediscovering.